Welcome back to another episode of the Growing Pains podcast. I'm very excited for today's episode. This is something I've been wanting to talk to you guys about for years now, but it just never really felt right. I don't know. I just never felt ready. I never felt like I knew enough. I'm not sure. Moral of the story is today we're going to be talking about healing my relationship with food, my body, and exercise. And I want to share my story and my experience, but also give you tips and share what helped me and mindset reframes and things like that in hopes of helping you too. I know over the last however long I've been going through this, I've been constantly searching for podcasts or YouTubes, just essentially things to help me feel less alone. Because if you've experienced a troubled relationship with food, it is so isolating and it feels so lonely because I think so much of it happens in a vacuum. But we'll get into that. So to sort of give you the rundown, I can't remember a time in my life where I was not thinking about losing weight or shrinking myself. For as long as I can remember, that's been, I don't want to say top of mind, but it's always been something that I felt like I should strive for. I've never been a teensy beensy little petite little thing ever in my life. I've always had more meat on my bones. Like it's just always been, that's just how I've always been. When I was actively playing soccer and volleyball and throwing for track and field, like I was an active kid. I was outside all of the time. I've still always carried a bit more meat on my bones. Like it's just been who I've been. And I hated it because growing up, a certain someone in my life basically shamed me for that and always made me feel like I needed to be smaller. And when I say that, I mean, like this person would tell me a man will never want you if you have a belly like that. I was 8. I just had a belly. Like I was just an 8-year-old girl. So needless to say, I feel like that put some beliefs in my head surrounding my body and that it inherently was bad and that it needed to change in order to be loved, in order for me to be lovable. Like it really created some detrimental views surrounding my worth and connecting like my ability to be loved to my body. So that was really not a great place to start. And this person would buy me like those skinny tea things, like the gummies and the stomach wraps that like would then wrap my stomach in saran wrap. I was in elementary school. And also like I was a healthy weight. Even if I was morbidly obese, that's still a crazy thing to do to a child and things to say. Like that's a crazy approach, but like I was a healthy weight. I've just always been a little thicker. Like that's my body's happy place. So needless to say, that really put some ideas in my brain surrounding my body. And in addition to that, like I said, I was active, but I was never really taught how to care for my body growing up. I did not know anything about nutrition. My family was sort of a family of like comfort, home cooked Southern meals. And also not big on veggies, not big on fruits. We loved our carbs. So like when I think of common meals growing up, it would always be a meat and then, mac and cheese and potatoes. And if we had a veggie, it was like corn or canned carrots or green beans and loaded in butter. I never really learned about nutrition. I never knew anything about protein. I never knew anything about Like I just didn't know these things. I knew foods to be good and bad in terms of like, obviously ice cream and chips and fast food, they aren't good for you. But like, I didn't realize anything about nutrition or nutrients or calories or any, like I knew none of that. Was sort of set up for failure there in the way that a lot of people are, because how are you to know about this if your family doesn't know? And how were my parents or my grandparents to know since they weren't taught? So it was just this sort of like constant thing. And I remember in high school, I was super active in high school, but again, always wanted to lose weight. It was always something I wanted to do. And it was one of those things where every summer I was like, all right, this is the summer I'm going to lose weight because I can go on walks and whatever. But I remember it was the summer after my junior year. I just decided to like stop eating potato chips and only drink water. And that was literally the only change I made. And like, I didn't eat a lot. I never really had a lot of feelings towards food growing up. I remember like I wouldn't eat breakfast. I would just go to school because I wasn't hungry, and I'd eat lunch, and then I'd come home, eat dinner, and maybe have a snack. But like I never really had any feelings towards food. I didn't have emotional connections towards food. I ate when I was hungry. I was stopped when I was full. Like I'd never really felt guilty about food. So I think I had a healthy relationship with food despite not knowing how to fuel myself. But I remember I cut those foods out and I lost like 10 pounds in a summer. And I just remember looking back on how I looked then, thinking I looked sickly. And I wasn't an unhealthy weight. Oh, not me having my ringer go off. That's embarrassing. Sorry. I wasn't an unhealthy weight by any means. Like textbook, I was a healthy weight, but I just don't look right as a super skinny person. And I wasn't even super skinny, but for my body, it just doesn't, I don't prefer how I look or how I feel when I don't have a little bit of extra body fat. So I learned that, but that didn't change the fact that I still felt like I needed to be smaller. Whatever, that like I ended up eventually putting the weight back on just naturally because that's my body's happy place. So I gained a little bit more weight during my senior year, but like nothing crazy, still was very healthy. After my senior year, like COVID hit and I was going on a lot of walks and I felt really good about my body, to be quite honest with you. I felt really confident. I was eating right. You know, I was having protein shakes, eating right for as well as I knew, having protein shakes and like doing the things that I thought were good, you know, broccoli and whatever to my extent, and going on walks and doing little like HIIT workouts at home with like 5-pound dumbbells. And I felt really good. And then I believe it was literally the fall after that, I got hit with the biggest depression of my life. There were so many things going on in my life and it was just, it rocked me to my core. I also went vegetarian around this time, so that played into it. But between not eating any protein, I was eating only carbs. And then I also was completely holed up in my room. Like I was so depressed. I'd never left my room. I was in bed all the time. And I also started to binge at night a pretty good bit. I would go get so belligerently stoned and then just eat my life away. I gained a lot of weight very quickly. In the span of like a few months, I put on like 30-40 pounds. I gained a lot of weight. It's weird because as it was happening, I like didn't notice. And then all of the sudden, all at once, I noticed. And I remember I sort of hit a breaking point when I had went to Mexico by myself for my 21st birthday. I was like, I've got to do something. So I remember I got back from Mexico. I joined a gym. I joined Planet Fitness. And I thought I was doing the right things, but I still wasn't really focused on my nutrition all that much. I was eating healthier, but I didn't know anything about calories yet. So I was in the gym all of the time. I would do like 45 minutes on the Stairmaster. Like I was working out, but I didn't lose any weight. Or maybe I lost like 5 pounds. My skin cleared up. Like I felt a lot better because I was taking care of myself, but I still didn't understand like the science behind weight loss, which is a calorie deficit. I did not know that. But since I was taking better care of myself, I felt a lot better. My energy was better. My skin cleared up like crazy. And I just was happier. And then I kept up with that for a little bit, and then life just got crazy. I moved to Boston for a summer, and then I moved to Florida, and meanwhile I was keeping up with, I was going on daily walks, I was eating really healthily, you know, making sure to have balanced meals and watching my portions, but not a ton. And like I would have a lot of acai bowls, and I just didn't realize like anything about carbs or calories, or I just didn't understand. And then I went to Europe. A lot happened. Moved to Florida, came back, was trying to move back to Boston, couldn't, went to Europe. When I got back, this is when, I don't remember how I learned about it. I think I just, as I was like in my hostel one day in Europe, dove into podcasts and things of that nature of like, how can I lose weight? Like I want to lose the weight. I've been doing the things and I'm not losing weight. How can I? And I remember I came back, I took my progress pictures, and I hit the ground running. I joined the gym again. I was going every single day, and I was in a calorie deficit. I was tracking with MyFitnessPal, and I set my calorie goal. I lost weight pretty quickly. It worked. I'll be so honest. And at first, it was fine. I was doing that for like a month while I was back in PA, and then I moved to Raleigh, and I was in a vacuum. And this is where like the obsession started, where I like, even up until this point, I didn't have a bad relationship with food. Like, even while tracking my calories in the beginning, everything was fine. I was able to do it healthily. Like, I ate my meals. I ate when I was hungry, but like, I wasn't that hungry outside of them. It was easy for me to, like, what I was doing was restricting, but it didn't feel restrictive at the time because it was fine. And it was in the beginning and I was excited and it was working. And then that only holds up for so long. So when I moved to Raleigh, things started to like really take a turn because I was pretty much all by myself. I had a friend there. Like, I made friends there as well, but most of my time was by myself. So I'd be in the gym for 2 hours, 7 days a week, like minimum 30 minutes of cardio and then an hour and a half of lifting. And I was losing weight, that's for sure, but I also was not eating enough. And I began to feel the restriction. For the first like month, I was literally eating the same meals every day. I'd have a protein smoothie for breakfast. I'd have a yogurt bowl for lunch. And then I would have like a beef, broccoli, spinach, rice bowl for dinner. That was it. So then after like a month or two of that, I was like, I want to try other foods. But I knew how to track my calories at this point. So I started adding in other foods. And this is when I started to realize, oh, like, I would eat another food and it would be in my calorie goals, but my brain was like, you're doing something wrong because you're not, like, you know what's been working for you. It's eating the same meals every day. So why did you eat this? And even though it's in my calorie goals, it did not matter. And this was like really tricky for me because I didn't realize how bad it was getting with my relationship with food and how I was viewing foods as good and bad. And I felt so strict with myself. And if I got off of course, quote unquote, if I ate something I shouldn't have or whatever, and I say shouldn't have very lightly in quotes, I felt like it affected my worth as a person. And everything now was viewed in, will this affect my progress? And progress was just losing weight, continuing to get smaller. And when I first started this whole weight loss journey, I had a goal of losing like 20 pounds, maybe. 30 pounds. I just wanted to get back to the weight that I was. That happened relatively quickly, but it didn't feel like enough and I kept going. And that's the kicker, is it will never feel like enough. You can lose all the weight in the world and it will never feel like enough because it was never about the weight. It was always about how you viewed yourself and how you connect your body image to your self-worth, because I liked myself more at my highest weight than I did at my lowest weight. And that was a trip. Like, the more weight I lost, the more I hated myself. And that was interesting to realize. I was really restricting myself, obviously. And then I remember one night, I just was like, I need to eat something. I had started losing my period at this point, and I just was ravenous for food. So I remember ordering takeout. And then after, also like major trigger warning on this whole episode, I should put that at the beginning. But I remember ordering takeout, eating it, and then afterwards I threw up. And that was the start of it all. This was sort of when my brain made the realization of, oh, I can eat whatever I want and throw it up and it doesn't count. Now, if you're listening to this and you hear what I say and you're like, wait, that's kind of a good idea, stop right there. I'm going to stop you right there, because me doing that was one of the like worst pieces of a domino effect I've ever experienced. I wish I never made that. I wish I never threw that up. I wish I never made that connection in my brain, because number one, those calories do still count. The second you put stuff in your mouth, like your body starts to absorb things, but also throwing up your food is going to do you so much more harm than good. It destroys your GI tract. Your teeth will literally start to rot. Like, it's really, really, really horrible for your body. But also, a lesson I've had to learn is that getting stressed out over cookies or a burger or pizza, or getting stressed out over any food, is so much more unhealthy than just eating the damn food. Like, truth be told, if you are at a point where you're eating food, or you're like feeling so uneasy surrounding food, or so guilty after you eat a piece of food to the point that you feel like you need to throw it up to protect your progress, or because it affects your self-worth, it's gone too far. And this is a sign that like something needs to be done. And there may be some tough love in this episode, But it's needed, because if you are throwing up your food, you need to stop and you need to get help. And that's coming from someone who threw up their food for a very long time. Your body deserves to be fed. I was thinking about saving the lessons until the end of this, but something that really changed the way I started to treat my body was framing it of like, if I switched bodies with the person I loved most for a day, how would I treat their body? Would I eat a cheeseburger and go throw it up because they don't deserve to have that, or it's too bad, or it affects their self-worth? Absolutely not. I would move their body in a way that feels good, because their body deserves to feel good and their body deserves to be cared for. And I would fuel their body and eat the things that they were craving, because food is so much more than just a calorie. And we'll get into that, but realizing that your body knows what to do with food. And also, if you are in a position to where you are throwing up your food, you're not getting enough fuel at all. I really needed to learn to trust myself surrounding nutrition, because I'm not sure if I'm going to word this properly, but since I was in a place where I had been restricting my calories for so long and all of these things, like, how many calories are in food, and you are already in this mindset of less is best. If you just allow yourself to eat, you're not going to be in this massive calorie surplus that you think you are. You're not going to, like, the fears of gaining weight, they're not going to happen in the way that you think they are. And sure, after an eating disorder and while you're in recovery, you might gain a little bit of weight, but guess what? It's because you need that weight. And there's so many more scary things in life than gaining weight. One of which, your teeth rotting out. The other, not being able to get yourself up off of the floor when you're older because you have no bone density, because you haven't been fueling yourself enough. Or not being able to go to your friend's birthday party because you're so stressed out about the food that will be there. Or like having such horrible brain fog that you can't focus in school. Or being mean to the people that you love because your brain doesn't have enough fuel, that you're not yourself. There are so many more really truly scary things in life than gaining some weight. And that's what I had to realize, of starting to not move towards body positivity, because that was unrealistic for me, of like, I can't go from hating my body to loving it, but damn, let's just accept it. Body neutrality, of realizing that like how I look has nothing to do with who I am as a person. And if people are judging me based off of that, they can go fuck themselves, truthfully. And just learning to accept your body for what it is. And also knowing that your body still deserves to be cared for, even if you don't like the way it looks. That's such a silly mindset. You still deserve to be cared for. You are still valuable, even if you don't like the way your body looks. Point blank, period. And even if you don't want to take care of your body, you do it anyway. Like, the other sort of analogy I forced myself into was like, all right, if I have a child one day, there are going to be times where I don't feel like taking care of that kid. I'm sure every parent out there can admit that, like, if it's the middle of the night, you don't always feel like getting up and making the bottle or getting up and changing the diaper, but you do it anyways, because that's your baby. And that baby deserves to be cared for. You're the baby here. Take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You were born with the inherent worthiness and deservingness of being taken care of. That is your birthright. So do it. Take care of yourself. Eat enough. Fuel your body. Stop throwing up your food. Move in a way that feels good for you. Don't view movement as a punishment. Back to the story. I got into a really bad habit of binging and purging. Really, really bad. My acne started to come back. Everything stressed me out. I didn't go out with friends because I didn't want to eat. Like, it was just awful. And it eventually got to a point where I was like, this is too much. It was after probably 6 months of like being in the trenches with it. I was like, this is too much. I'm done. And I stopped tracking my calories, because I don't even know how to put it into words, but I just had a wake up call of realizing that I cannot live like this, and this isn't sustainable, and I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, so I have to stop it now. And also realizing, like, I want to have kids one day. I have to get this shit sorted out before I have kids, because I refuse to pass my unhealthy mindset surrounding my body and food and exercise down to my daughter. So I need to figure this out now. So I stopped tracking calories. My mindset around food still wasn't free, but I had to work on it. So like, I would challenge myself to have cookies and to have things that I thought would make me gain so much weight, just to prove to myself that like that wasn't the case. Eating disorder recovery is constantly doing the thing that feels so uncomfortable and then showing yourself, see, It's okay. It's not as scary as you thought it was. Eat the cookie. You're not going to magically put on 100 pounds. You're not going to magically put on 10 pounds. You could have a cookie every day and you'd be fine. Learning to then listen into my hunger and fullness cues, because tracking destroyed that. Not only tracking and restricting and binging and purging, like all of these things, but when you're so intensely tracking your calories and have no wiggle room with yourself and you're so rigid about it, you learn to stop listening to your hunger. And that is not good. That is not good. That is not good. That is not good. When your body is hungry, it needs food. And there's a big difference between mental hunger and physical hunger, and that's something to learn, and it takes a lot of time. But if your stomach is growling, if you feel sick, if you are hungry, go eat, damn it. And I think one of the tipping points for me as well, in addition to realizing I can't live like this, I remember I was standing in a TJ Maxx and I hadn't had a period in months, and I felt like I was going to pass out because I hadn't ate. And that's when I was like, this is enough. I'm done. So I stopped tracking my calories and I tried my best. And it wasn't perfect, but I didn't gain weight. And also, I just want you to know that this isn't me saying weight gain is bad. Not at all. Half the time it's necessary, and you're going to gain weight sometimes. It's about life. You're going to gain weight. You're going to lose weight. It's all right. But when you're 80 and you look back, I promise you're not going to be like, oh, I wish I hadn't gained that 10 pounds when I was 20. Shut up. Shut up. There are bigger things to worry about. Truly. And I'm sorry if that's harsh, but this is how I had to speak to myself of what the hell is wrong with you? Snap out of it. You're sitting here killing yourself because of a few pounds. Snap out of it. Holy shit. So I stopped tracking calories, and I eventually moved back to Boston in December, and I started tracking calories again because I thought at this point I had healed my relationship with food enough to where I could go on a little mini cut and it would be fine. And it wasn't. It wasn't nearly as bad this go around because I had developed just a different perspective with food, but I was still in this overtraining, underfueling, where I had a calorie goal of X amount and I still wouldn't even reach that. And my calorie goal was already an insane deficit, and I would go 400 calories under the calorie deficit, which is so bad. Your body needs fuel. Food is fuel at the end of the day. It's more than fuel. It's meant to be enjoyed and all of these things. But at the end of the day, a calorie is just a measurement of energy. Your body needs a certain amount of energy to sustain daily functions, to keep your organs functioning. One of the biggest organs that takes up stuff from your energy storage, from your calories, is your brain. Your brain uses about 20% of your daily calorie intake. If you're not feeding yourself enough, your brain's not fucking working, which is why you have brain fog, which is why you can't sleep, which is why you have no energy, which is why you're more irritable, which is why you hate yourself more. I hate my body so much more when I am underfueling because my brain doesn't have the energy it needs to actually work. So therefore my serotonin drops, my dopamine drops, my norepinephrine drops. And with that, I have no focus. I have more brain fog. I'm very irritable. I can't control my moods. I have no drive. Things aren't fulfilling me anymore. I can't sleep. I have no energy. My acne is bad. My hair is falling out. And also negative self-talk. I'm ruminating on negative thoughts so much more. My anxiety was so much worse. All of these things because I wasn't fueling myself. How fucking insane is that? Is it worth it? Does that feel worth it to you? To be skinny, to have all of these horrible effects. And that's just right now. That's not even talking about the long-term effects. Trust me, women take up about 70% of, I don't know if that's the correct statistic, but women are far more likely to break their hips than men in old age. Breaking your hip is debilitating, by the way. So many people, your likelihood of surviving a year after a hip fracture or a hip break is very minimal. Beyond that, women also are a large majority of the population in retirement homes. Why? Because we don't take care of our bodies in our younger years. We don't fuel ourselves enough, and therefore we don't have enough bone density to last us when we're older. And this tanks a lot when we hit menopause and our estrogen drops, and therefore we can't really build bone as much. You need to take care of your bone health, and you need to be strong. It is never, the smaller you are, arguably, the lower your quality of life will be in your older age. It is very healthy for women to be bigger with big muscles and lean body mass. I'm not saying gorge yourself and put on a lot of body fat, But I am saying, like, smaller is not always better. And small and underfueled is often worse. Truth be told. Be strong. Your older self will thank you so much. Put on muscle. Eat enough. In order to put on muscle, you need to eat. You need to lift weights. Stop killing yourself with cardio and stop underfueling. Your older self will thank you, I promise. I moved back to Boston. I was tracking my calories. I lost more weight. I was the smallest I'd been, and I was overtraining to the gods. Oh my God, it was miserable. I had no energy. My acne came back, and then I was like, again, oh my God, I can't do this. And this time it was only about 4 months, and I really hated how I looked because I got very small, and I lost a lot of my muscle. I lost all my boobs, all my butt, my quad, like I just looked deflated. And that's when I realized my body's not meant to look this small. I don't like how I look this small. I like how I look when I have my curves and I have my butt and I have more muscle and fat on my body. I like how I look. So that's sort of when I decided, all right, this is the last time I'm doing this stupid shit. And I was like, how can I make myself get out of this? I'm going to start training for a half marathon. That might sound redundant to you of like you wanted to stop underfueling and overtraining, so you're going to run 26 miles, well, 13 miles since it was a half. My logic behind it was like, I will be forced to fuel myself properly if I'm running that much. So I started training for a half marathon, and I hired a strength training and nutrition coach to program my workouts for me and tell me how much to eat, and this changed my life. Her Instagram is Coaching by B. Bianca, she is one of my best friends, and she's also one of the greatest people. Like, she has changed my life in so many ways, because she has taught me so much about nutrition and why I need to fuel myself and program workouts and listen to me and genuinely listen to my fears and my concerns and my goals and tailored my workouts and my nutrition to that and been such a big support system for me. She is so educated, she is so informed, and she knows what the hell she's doing. So pretty much immediately she was like, we need to get you eating more, and she upped my calories to 1,800, and this was just a starting point, and this was difficult for me. It was scary and it was hard to eat that much. But I did it because she told me why I needed to do it, and she told me the importance, and she told me what would happen. And one thing about women is a lot of the times, sure, a calorie deficit might work at first to get some weight off and whatever, but you're not going to get that lean, toned look that you want by restricting your calories so much, because your body goes into fight or flight, your body goes into starvation mode, and it starts to hold on to your fat storage because it's like, I don't know when I'll get my next meal, so I'm going to hold on to all of this. This isn't safe. Your cortisol goes through the roof, you start losing your hair, your acne comes back, all of these things, and you're not getting the body that you want because you're not feeding yourself enough. When I eventually, the highest amount of calories I was eating with Bianca was 2,400 calories, and I looked the best I have ever looked. I was so muscular, but I was also the leanest I've ever been. I felt so good. My hair grew so much. My hair was so shiny. My skin was radiant. I felt incredible. I was in EMT school at the time. I would not have been able to get through EMT school had I not been feeding myself this much. My focus was great. I had the energy to go out. I was sleeping better than I ever have in my life. I've dealt with insomnia for as long as I can remember. I was able to sleep like it was nobody's business. I felt incredible. And it was all because I was eating enough. And I also went from training 7 days a week to 4 days a week and only doing cardio, I think, on 2 of those. I felt phenomenal because I was fueling, not restricting. That was like... Leaning into increasing my calories made me realize, and I learned a lot about body recomposition and how that's actually what I wanted. I didn't want to get as small as possible. I wanted to look lean and toned. And in order to do that, I wanted to build my muscle and lose body fat. It's not always about losing body fat. And even if that is your goal, being in a calorie deficit long-term is not sustainable because your metabolism is going to downregulate and your body will get used to this. And that's when people start to plateau because your body's now used to this amount of food. So then you have to keep dropping your calories lower and lower and lower until it's not enough to survive. And that's miserable. Focus on body recomposition. This is where you're building muscle, and the more muscle you have, the easier it is for you to lose fat because muscle is just... It's leaner, it burns through your calories more, like all of these different things. You burn through you use more calories at rest when you have more lean muscle and lean body weight. So that should always be the goal for women, to have more muscle. Because again, we need that shit. That's going to support us through menopause and through our old age. You want to be able to get up off the floor when you fall when you're 70, I promise. Like, you want to be able to play with your grandkids. Trust me. Trust me, you want to live a long, healthy, happy life. You don't want to be bedridden because you broke your hip and now you're done, or because you literally don't have the muscle to walk, or you don't want to be hunched over and needing a walker because you didn't, do your mobility and do your stretching and eat enough when you were younger. Trust me, as an EMT, I saw this shit. That was like such a big wake up call for me as well. I stopped working with Bianca while I was an EMT because I just didn't have the time to, transparently, like this was a rough phase for me because I went from being self-employed to having my own schedule to now working 16-hour shifts. And I was working out for like a 6-month period. I think I worked out max once a week. Most of the times it was once every 2 weeks. And I wasn't eating enough because I didn't have the time to eat while I was on shift. And then in between shifts, I was exhausted. I started working with Bianca again in the spring. I believe it was last May. No, I don't even know when it was. But I stopped being an EMT in around June. And then I got back into the gym in July. Maybe that's when I started with Bianca again. I don't know. I've been going ever since then, and I'm working on building my calories back up. And I also recently learned that I have OCD, which really affects my relationship with food and exercise and my body, because that's why I obsess over things so much. And that's why I feel like everything has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then I'm a terrible person, and like really obsessing over these things. But I found my equilibrium again since working with Bianca, and I also recently bought NASM's nutrition program because I want to really learn more about nutrition. I have a very good understanding of nutrition and like how to build my plate and being mindful of calories while getting my macros in. Like, I have a very good understanding of nutrition, but I want to know more about what everything does for my body, because I'm human. I still have moments where I slip into these restrictive mindsets, but I'm able to get myself out of them more, both between myself and what I know and also my support systems. Those things are very important. But where I'm at now with it, I am making sure I'm eating enough. I'm training 3 days a week. And I do my stretching and my mobility and, light exercise in between that, where I'll take my dog on walks or I'll do some yoga and stretching here. But learning the difference between discipline and being disciplined because our bodies need to be cared for and they deserve to be cared for, and I want to have a healthy, happy life, and punishing myself for eating something. I no longer do that. I no longer allow myself to go extra hard on a workout the day after I splurge on food. And in fact, I'm like forcing myself to quote unquote splurge, where it's like, have the cookie, have have a glass of rosé, like have these things, because that is normal. That is normal, and that is balance, and that is healthy. It is so much more unhealthy to never allow yourself to live a balanced life than it is to restrict yourself forever. Because food is more than just fuel. It's also about enjoying moments with your friends and embracing other cultures and celebrations and tasting really beautiful new foods from different places and learning foods that you love and sharing that with people you love. So I don't want to miss out on those things right now or in the future. And I don't want to pass these things on to my children. And the only way to get better and to heal my relationship with food is to do the things that scare me. The only way to heal your relationship with food is to just fucking do it. So eat the foods that scare you and prove to yourself that it's okay, that it's not morally wrong. There's no moral connections to food. Every food has nutritional value, even a fucking chocolate chip cookie. It does. Every food serves a purpose. And also trusting your body. Your body knows what to do with food. Even if you had a whole pizza, your body knows what to do with it. It's going to do what it needs to do. And guess what? It'll also fuel your next workout. The days after I've ate a lot of carbs, I have the best workouts in my life. Your body knows what to do with food. Trust it. It's a really great feeling to finally be in a place where I'm like, I don't care about being small. I don't care about shrinking myself. Sure, I still have these thoughts, but my goal is to be strong, and that's sustainable for me. And just working with my body and doing these things because I want to be strong and I want to have a long, healthy life, not because I want to be small. You're never going to get where you want to be if your only goal is to be small, because I promise it will never feel like you're small enough. So here's some lessons. Again, self-care with empathy, treating yourself the way that you would want to care for a loved one and the way you would want to see them care for themselves. And if they came to you saying the things that you've been thinking about your body, that they've been feeling this way about theirs, what would you say to them? It'd break your heart to hear that. So treat yourself the same way. What would you do to help them feel safe, nurtured, and loved? Food is fuel, not punishment. Starving yourself to get smaller doesn't fix anything, and it doesn't fix self-hate. In fact, it often makes it a lot worse. It amplifies it. Proper nutrition powers your body and your mind. Calorie deficits require balance. They're needed for weight loss, sure, but a steep deficit, too steep of a deficit, will harm your body, and it will do so much more harm than good. And also, deficits require breaks, and they should be minimal. And back to body recomp, unless you have like a ton of weight to lose. When I started my fitness journey, body recomp wouldn't have really worked for me that well because I had like 50 pounds to lose. So a calorie deficit was needed, but I also should have been working with someone who could tell me how to do it properly and sustainably, because I went too much too soon. I went like 600 calories into a deficit, and then there was nowhere to go and I plateaued. So then I was in a really unhealthy deficit. Start small. Start by 200 calories and then go to 4. And you know what I mean? Just work your way down until you're healthy. And then if you get too low of a deficit, that's when you build yourself back up, you build your metabolism back up, and then you can deficit again if you need to. But get to the point where you can body recomp, because that's going to help you maintain. This is why so many people lose so much weight and then they can't maintain it, because these strict calorie deficits aren't realistic. Restricting yourself, it's not realistic. It's not sustainable. Eventually, you're going to go back to the way that you once ate, and you're going to put the weight back on because it wasn't realistic. Maintenance is the goal. So that's why eating at your maintenance, but strength training and doing these things to help your body gain weight. And maybe you're a little bit below your maintenance. So your body is gaining weight, gaining muscle and losing body fat. That's the goal, because that's so much easier to maintain. And that's balance, you know, you're still fueling your organs, you're fueling your brain. You can show up well in life, and you're not like depleting your glucose and throwing off your metabolism. A toddler needs 1,200 calories a day to function. I promise you a grown woman needs more than that. I promise you. I don't care if you're 4'11", you still need more than 1,200 calories a day. Most grown women need at least 1,800 calories. Eating 2,000 calories versus 1,500 is a fucking game changer for me, if I'm just being honest with you. Chronic undereating and low calorie deficits weaken your bones over time, setting you up for osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, fractures. Proper nutrition now equals a better quality of life later. Undereating and overtraining will throw your hormones through a loop, and hormonal balance matters. And I don't just mean cortisol. Yes, cortisol, but I also mean thyroid function, estrogen, testosterone. It'll impact your menstrual cycle. Not having a menstrual cycle is a really bad sign, and it's a sign that you need to do something. Your metabolism doesn't reset magically. Severe restriction and severe undereating often backfires when it comes to your metabolism. Your body slows your metabolism down to survive, which can make weight loss and weight management harder for you. I have so many things that I could say, but moral of the story is your body knows what it needs. So learn to fuel your body and teach your body how to just get in. You don't have to teach your body. Your body already knows, but sometimes you have to reteach your body how to feel its hunger cues and its fullness cues. But really, it's just needing to learn how to listen to your body. Your body is your best friend. Your body is the only thing that you have for your entire life. Treat it well. Be its best friend. Get in tune with it. Learn to know what it needs and what it doesn't need. Learn to know what feels good and what doesn't feel good. The only foods that you shouldn't be eating are ones that you are allergic to or that genuinely don't make your body feel good. That's the only bad food for you, or the ones that just genuinely don't make you feel good. The best things you can do for yourself, as a woman, but as anyone, put on muscle. Move your body in a way that feels good for you. Lift weights, go on walks, eat enough, get your veggies, get your protein, get your carbs. Carbs are so important. Eat your fiber. Fuel your body, move your body, reduce your stress, and get enough sleep. Work to remove the guilt around eating. Work to remove any sort of moral connection to food. That's where I'm going to leave you. My throat hurts from talking so much. I might need a part 2 to this. If you guys have questions, let me know. I hope I covered everything. There's so much to talk about here. Honestly, I could talk for hours, but I think this is a good place to leave part 1. Thank you for listening. If you are someone who's struggling with this, I'm sending you so much love. Healing your relationship with food and your body and your relationship to exercise, it takes time. It takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes a lot of self-compassion. It is not linear. Please lean on the people that you love. Fill them in. Talk to them about it. Let them know what you're going through. That way they can help you through it. And when you start to spiral again, you can rely on them and lean on them. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Please feel free to DM me on Instagram if you need to talk to someone about this, or comment down below. We can create a little community out of this if you want. But I'm here for you. I'm sending you love. You can do this. I promise you, it's going to be hard. This isn't going to be easy and it's not going to be fun, but it's worth it. Healing your relationship with food is the best thing you can do for yourself now, but especially your future self. I promise you, you can do this. You can do hard things. You're capable of so much more than you know. I believe in you.